Flair is talking about a part of his life most fans know nothing about. How decades of so-called social drinking ended with a health scare last summer that he says nearly killed.
Ric Flair has always been known as the Nature Boy, a man larger than life who built his career on confidence, showmanship, and a love for wrestling that never seemed to fade. For decades, fans watched him strut to the ring in sparkling robes, shout his famous woo, and deliver matches that defined professional wrestling. But behind the spotlight, the cheers, and the fame, there was another story. It was the story of a man who struggled with health, loss, and pain that no camera ever truly showed. In recent years, fans began noticing that Flair was not appearing as often as before. Rumors started to spread. Was he sick? Was he hiding something? When Flair finally broke his silence, the truth shocked the wrestling world. His health battles were much deeper and more heartbreaking than anyone expected. For many fans, hearing his words was painful because it reminded them that even legends are human. Flair admitted his struggles with alcohol, near-death experiences, and most recently, cancer. His story is not just about wrestling, it is about survival, resilience, and learning what really matters in life. Ric Flair's wrestling journey began in the early 1970s when he first stepped into the ring as a young man with a dream. At that time, no one could have predicted that he would one day be recognized as one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. With his platinum blonde hair, loud robes, and unmatched energy, Flair was impossible to ignore. He didn't just wrestle, he performed. Every movement, every word, and every match was designed to entertain the crowd. Fans quickly connected with his over-the-top personality. His famous catchphrases and his signature move, the figure four leglock, became staples of wrestling. Flair wasn't just about style. He was also a skilled technician who knew how to control the pace of a match and make it exciting from beginning to end. Over the years, he won 16 officially recognized world championships, competing in wrestling promotions like the NWA, WC, and WWE. These titles cemented his reputation as one of the greatest performers in history. His career wasn't just about victories though, it was about resilience, because Flair kept pushing forward no matter what challenges came his way. This fighting spirit would later define not only his career, but also his life outside the ring. One of the earliest examples of Ric Flair's strength came in 1975 when his career almost ended before it truly began. He was in a plane crash in North Carolina that broke his back in 3 places. Doctors told him his wrestling career was finished. Most people in his position would have given up, but Flair was not most people. He refused to accept that his dream was over. After months of painful recovery, he shocked the world by returning to the ring only 8 months later. This comeback made fans respect him even more. They saw that he wasn't just a flashy character, he was a fighter who wouldn't give up no matter the odds. His ability to overcome this near tragedy made him a symbol of resilience. And from then on, he was viewed as someone who could survive anything. This event also helped shape the legend of Ric Flair. It wasn't just his skill or charisma that made him special, but also his ability to face disaster and still rise again. This theme of survival would follow him throughout his life, showing up again and again in ways even more personal and painful. While Flair's wrestling life was filled with championships and glory, his personal life was marked by heartbreak. One of the hardest moments of his life came in 2013 when his youngest son, Reed, died of a heroin overdose. Reed had dreams of following in his father's footsteps as a wrestler, but his struggles with addiction tragically cut his life short. For Flair, the loss was devastating. No amount of fame or strength in the ring could protect him from the pain of losing a child. He admitted openly that the grief never left him and that he carried it with him every day. This was a side of Ric Flair that fans rarely saw: a father who was vulnerable, hurting, and unable to fight back against the tragedy life had thrown at him. At the same time, Flair's own struggles with alcohol grew worse. He often admitted to drinking heavily for decades, a lifestyle that eventually caught up with his body. These battles away from the ring were perhaps harder than anything he faced inside it. They showed that behind the larger-than-life personality was a man. dealing with very real and painful challenges, that in August 2017, Flair's health took a terrifying turn. He was rushed to the hospital with severe abdominal pain, and doctors soon discovered that he had a dangerous bowel obstruction. This problem quickly became life-threatening, as it caused multiple organs in his body to shut down. His kidneys failed, his liver was badly damaged from years of drinking, and he even developed sepsis, a serious blood infection. Doctors placed him in a medically induced coma, and his chances of survival were estimated at only 20%. For over 10 days, Flair lay unconscious, fighting for his life. When he finally woke up, he had undergone surgeries, lost weight, and needed physical therapy just to walk again. The man who had once been full of endless energy was now struggling with basic movements. In later interviews, Flair admitted that he had been given last rites in the hospital because doctors thought he wouldn't make it. This health scare made fans realize just how close they were to losing him. It also forced Flair himself to reflect on his choices, especially his years of heavy drinking, which he acknowledged played a major role in his health problems. After surviving his 2017 health crisis, Ric Flair promised that he would never drink again. For a man who once lived the lifestyle of excess, this was a huge change. He said openly that alcohol abuse had nearly killed him, and he knew he couldn't continue down the same path. His recovery wasn't only physical, it was also mental. Flair admitted that he experienced depression and post-traumatic stress after his near-death experience. He was afraid, not just of dying, but of missing out on important moments with his grandchildren and family. For someone who had always been known for confidence and bravado, admitting fear was shocking. It showed a different, more human side of Ric Flair that fans weren't used to seeing. During his recovery, his partner Wendy Barlow stayed by his side every night in the hospital, proving that love and support were just as important as medical care. Flair began focusing more on his legacy and his family, especially his daughter, Charlotte Flair, who had become one of WWE's biggest stars. He admitted his failures as a father in the past, and tried to make amends by being more supportive. This new version of Ric Flair, humble, reflective, and grateful to be alive, was a far cry from the wild nature boy fans had grown up watching. Even after his recovery, fans continued to worry about Ric Flair. In 2018, he appeared at a Comic-Con event, and many people noticed that he looked frail. His hands shook as he signed autographs, and his speech seemed slower. By 2020, Flair cancelled a scheduled appearance during WrestleMania weekend, and WWE only said it was due to health concerns. The lack of details fueled speculation. Fans began to wonder if Flair was hiding something serious. Some thought it might be complications from his pacemaker, while others suspected long-term damage from his years of drinking. On WWE television, Flair appeared on the Legends Night Special in 2021. But, instead of excitement, many fans reacted with concern. They said he looked thin, weak, and confused. Social media was filled with worried comments, and for the first time, fans seemed more afraid for his well-being than excited to see him. Behind the scenes, Flair stayed private about his condition, but those who worked with him hinted that he was going through more than he let on. The mystery around his health became almost as big a story as his wrestling legacy, and fans feared the worst. In early 2021, Ric Flair faced another challenge: cancer. Doctors found a growth on his lower back, which turned out to be basal cell carcinoma, a form of skin cancer. Flair underwent treatment that included surgery and cryotherapy to remove the cancerous cells. At first, he tried to keep this quiet, not wanting fans to worry. When the news eventually came out, Flair downplayed it, calling it just a little sunspot. But behind the scenes, he was shaken. Friends like Hulk Hogan reportedly urged him to take it seriously. Years of tanning lights and sun exposure had increased his risk, and the possibility of recurrence was high. Flair's decision to keep this private raised questions. Was he being brave? Or was he in denial? Either way, the diagnosis added another layer to his health struggles. For fans, it was another reminder that their hero was human. What made this moment powerful was not just the diagnosis itself, but Flair's silence. The quiet suggested fear, something fans weren't used to associating. With the Nature Boy, it was a sobering reminder that no amount of charisma or fame could protect him from life's hardest battles. Between 2022 and early 2024, Ric Flair's public appearances became fewer and fewer. He cancelled signings, missed reunions, and even stopped producing his podcast, Woo Nation Uncensored. For someone who had always thrived in the spotlight, this silence was unusual and concerning. Fans speculated that his health was getting worse, but without confirmation, rumors spread wildly. Some believed he was quietly undergoing treatments. Others thought he was simply too weak to continue with his usual busy schedule. His daughter Charlotte Flair also remained silent about his condition, which only fueled speculation. Fans felt that if she wasn't speaking, then something serious must be happening behind the scenes. By late 2024, many people feared the worst. For years, Ric Flair had been seen as someone who could survive anything, but his absence made people wonder if his story was finally coming to an end. The silence spoke louder than words, and fans anxiously waited to hear the truth directly from him. In February 2025, Ric Flair finally ended the speculation with a heartbreaking announcement. Appearing on NBC's Today Show, he revealed that his cancer had returned. This time, it was more serious, with lesions found on his scalp and chest that had already spread deeper into tissue. The treatment plan was aggressive, involving surgery and radiation therapy. Flair admitted that this time, he was scared. For decades, he had built a career on confidence and toughness, but now he spoke openly about fear. "I don't know if I'll make it through this one, but I'm still fighting," he said, his voice cracking. Fans were devastated. Social media was filled with tributes, messages of support, and prayers from around the world. WWE legends like Triple H and John Cena publicly expressed their love and respect for him. For many, hearing Flair's vulnerability was both painful and powerful. It showed that even the greatest heroes face moments of weakness. His openness about fear and mortality made him more human than ever, and it touched people in ways his wrestling career never could. By 2025, Ric Flair's legacy had grown beyond wrestling. He was no longer just the 16-time world champion or the flamboyant nature boy. He had become a symbol of resilience, survival, and honesty. By speaking openly about his health battles, Flair broke the tradition in wrestling where stars often hid their injuries or illnesses. His message about early detection and taking health seriously reached people far beyond wrestling fans. His daughter Charlotte often spoke about how his struggles gave her new perspective, making her appreciate life and career more deeply. For Flair himself, the lesson was clear. Life is fragile, and health is more valuable than fame. He said that if his story helped even one person take care of their health, then everything he went through would be worth it. Fans now celebrate not just his performances in the ring, but also his courage in sharing his struggles. Ric Flair once defined what it meant to be larger than life. But now he is teaching the world what it means to live fully, even when life is uncertain. His fight continues, and so does his impact. In February 2025, Ric Flair appeared on television and finally revealed what many had feared. His cancer had returned. This time, it was more serious, with growths discovered on his scalp and chest. The treatment involved surgery and weeks of radiation, which left him feeling weaker than ever before. For the first time in his life, Flair openly admitted that he was scared. He said, "I don't know if I'll make it through this one, but I'm still fighting." This admission shocked fans who had always seen him as untouchable. The wrestling world reacted with an outpouring of support. Stars like John Cena and Triple H sent messages of love and strength. Fans around the world shared tributes, showing how much Flair meant to them. His honesty about his fear and struggle made him even more human and relatable. Even though it was heartbreaking, by 2025, Ric Flair's story had become more than just the tale of a wrestling legend. It had become a lesson about life, survival, and honesty. For decades, wrestlers tried to appear strong, hiding injuries and illnesses. But Flair showed that admitting weakness can also be a form of strength. He urged fans to take cancer seriously and reminded them about the importance of early detection. His daughter Charlotte also spoke about how her father's struggles gave her a new perspective on life. Flair himself reflected on his past, saying that if his story